All right, so we're going to be doing factoring two different ways today. We are going to start with GCF, and then we are going to do difference of squares. On your practices and on tests and stuff, I'm not going to specify which method to use. You have to be able to recognize how to factor these. So I'm not ever going to say factor using the difference of squares. You have to be able to look at a problem and see that it is a difference of squares, okay? So recognizing these problems is really, really important. First of all, GCF, what does that stand for? Very good. So, greatest common factor. All right, the greatest common factor is the biggest term you can pull out of every term. So it is the biggest number and the biggest letter you can pull out of every term in your expression. It has to come out of every term. All right, this little asterisk here, for our factoring, we're going to be doing it without a calculator, so you're not going to need this. But if you have a really difficult factoring problem on the ACT or the SAT or TSI or what have you, this is just the way to get the factors in the calculator. So if you go to your graph and you type in whatever number you want to find the factors of. So like I made you go up to 50, right, on the extra credit 1 through 50. Say you wanted to find the factors of 50. So you type 50 and you're going to divide it by x. Press enter. Don't worry about the graph. The graph doesn't matter. Control T to pull up the table. And all of the whole numbers are factors. So 1 and 50, 2 and 25, 5 and 10, and then I think that's all. The rest of them are going to be decimals until you loop back up to 10 and 5. All right. So if you go into the calculator and into the graph, you do whatever number you're trying to find the factors of, divided by x. That'll give you the factors. If you need it on a TSI, ACT, something like that. But for my class, the numbers I ask you, I would expect you to know these factors of anyways. So you're not going to be like the factors of 12. Can you tell me what numbers multiply and give you 12? That's what I'm saying. Like if you didn't know that, you could type it in the calculator.
Oh, it was like really, really high.
Yeah, if you had a really, but I'm not going to give you like a really outrageous number. So you're not going to need a calculator for my test and the practices. But if you did like if they gave you something like that on a TSI, that's how you would do it. All right. Number 1. It says factor the following quadratic expressions using the GCF. So on number 1, I have 3b squared plus 6b. What number is in common with both of those guys?
3.
3. Very good. And what letter?
B.
How many b's?
1.
1. Good. You can't take out a b squared because this term does not have a b squared. The most that every term has is just 1b. All right, so I'm going to take a 3b out. When I say take a 3b out, I mean dividing. So what is 3 divided by 3? 1. And when you are dividing here, you subtract your exponents. So I have a b squared, and I'm going to take out a b. How many am I left with?
1b.
1b. Okay, 6 divided by 3? 2. And I have a b, but I took a b out. So am I left with any?
No.
Nope. And so this is the answer.
Oh, do you remember this?
Yep.
B.
Yes, you should have done this in 8th grade, Algebra 1. After our class, you should have this this is super easy after my class. All right, they shouldn't be going over it anymore. If you wanted to check your work, if you were to go back and multiply this out, you should end up with your original. What is 3b times b?
3b squared.
3b squared. What is 3b times 2? 6b. And so if you notice, that is what you had from the beginning. All right, you don't have to do that, but it is just the way you check your work. All right, so on number 2, what is the GCF?
4x.
4x. Good. When I take a 4x out of 16x, I am just left with a 4, because 16 divided by 4 is 4, and then the x's are gone. If I take a 4x out of 4x squared,
Just X.
just an x. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and I took an x from x squared, so I'm just left with 1x. I am. All right, on number 3, Evelyn, what can I take out? Or what's my GCF? 2, and what letter? T, good. All right, and then Gip, when I take a 2t out, what am I left with? All right, so 2 divided by 2 is what? And I have a t squared, but I take a t out. So how many t's am I left with? Just t. So I have just a t here. All right, 8 divided by 2, 4, and I have a t, but I take a t out, so am I left with any? So then this is it. Okay. Angie, number 4.
7Y.
7y. Okay, and then Haley, what am I left with on the inside?
2 minus 3Y.
Very good. 2 minus 3y. 14 divided by 7 is 2. The y came out. Negative 21 divided by 7 is negative 3. And then I had a y squared. I took a y out, so I'm still left with a y.
How high is this? Yeah.
Okay. Caitlin, what about number 5? 5a, very good. And Faith, what am I left with on the inside? 2a minus 5.
We are such smart cookies. But still.
All right. Christian, number 6, what can you take out? An 8x. And Andrew, what are you left with on the inside?
I do not know.
Okay, here, I'll help you. What is 24 divided by 8?
I can't really like.
What's 24 divided by 8? 3, okay. And I have an x squared, but I take an x out. So how many x's am I left with? Like, okay, so I have x squared, so that's 2 x's. But I'm taking one of them out. So I only have 1.
Can I do number 7?
All right, what is negative 8 divided by 8? Yes, you can. Negative 8 divided by 8. It's the same number. No, negative 8 divided by 8. Okay. Negative 1. And then you took the x out.
You can take out for number 7.
Yep.
You can take out negative 7x, right?
Okay, so we'll see.
Oh no.
On number 7, make sure you're paying attention on number 7 because I want to show you something. All right, so they told me to take a negative 7x out. When you take a negative 7x from negative 28x squared, what are you left with? What's negative 28 divided by negative 7?
4x
4, and then the x. Okay.
plus
Negative 42 divided by negative 7
6.
Plus 6.
plus 6. Okay, look at your inside. 4x plus 6. Do you have a GCF in there?
Yes.
Yes. What can you divide both those by? 2. So 7's actually not my GCF because I can also take a 2 out. But
so it'd be 14.
yes. But it's okay because you're not wrong. Instead of it being 7, we're going to take that 2 out as well. And so your GCF is actually a negative 14x. And then on the inside, I have 2x plus 3.
14 times 3 is 42.
Yep.
Because you have that extra.
Okay, but you're dividing the 4.
Dang it, I was so close.
All right, so shh, let me explain it one more time. Shh, focus up here. Hold on one second. All right. You might not see the GCF at first glance. You might see part of it. So, for example, on this one, most of you could see that both of these are divisible by 7. And so you pulled a 7 out. But when you look back at the inside, 4 and 6 still have a GCF. You can still pull more out.
So if it's a high number on the inside and you're able to like get it like
Lower, you have to get it lower. Yeah, you have to get it as low as you can go.
Why are you using me as an example, Coach Saul?
Everybody did it. I did it. In first period, I did it. I was like 7. I was like, oops, just kidding. We can go farther.
Guys, wait a minute.
Everybody did it. So, I just want you to know, just because you don't pull it all out at the first, it doesn't mean you're wrong and you have to start over. Just keep going until you can't pull anything out. Okay. Anyways, number 8. What is a GCF?
4.
Negative 4x.
What color are you using? Oh, okay.
It's like a maroon.
Okay, I'm using maroon again.
When you take negative 4x from negative 12x squared, you're left with 3x. And when you take negative 4x from negative 16x,
Plus 4.
plus 4.
Who is it?
Hi. I will be for the next 5-ish minutes. Can you come back in 5-ish minutes? Right now? Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right. Number 9. What's the GCF of number 9?
5.
5x. So when you pull a 5x out, what are you left with? 2x plus 7. 2x plus 7.
7 times 5 is 35.
Yes, I'm going to take long.
I made them rhyme.
All right, flip it over on the back.
I can't find my review.
All right, on the back we have the difference of squares method. So stay with me, even if you're like, wow, this is super, super easy. Put your phones away and make sure you are paying attention. Okay, difference of squares. So normally our quadratic expressions are in this term here, ax squared plus bx plus c. We're going to start factoring these tomorrow with the 3 terms. All right. For the difference of squares, you have no b term. So the b term is gone. So remember, you have to be able to recognize these difference of squares.
So it'd just be ax squared plus b.
So the b term is gone. What does difference mean?
Subtract.
A subtraction sign. And you need 2 perfect squares. So you need a subtraction sign and you need perfect squares. You know what perfect squares are. You just might not know that that's what they're called. So, what's 1 times 1? 1. What's 2 times 2?
4.
What's 3 times 3?
9.
What's 4 times 4?
16.
What's 5 times 5?
25.
What's 6 times 6?
36.
7 times 7?
49.
5 times, 8 times 8?
64.
9 times 9?
81.
10 times 10?
100.
11 times 11?
121.
12 times 12?
144.
13 times 13?
I don't know.
169, but that's all as far as I know, so.
169.
Yep. All right, so those numbers are your perfect squares because it's number times itself. That's what you get. That's why it's a square. Okay, so those are your perfect squares numbers, which you should be able to recognize, right? Because you know them.
My head hurts.
All right.
Buddy, it's okay. We'll practice the video later.
All right, look at number 10. I promise this isn't hard. Just stay with me.
Maybe up the PD help.
Numbers don't even make a perfect.
Quit talking for me. All right, on number 10. First, do you see how there is no b term?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see how that's a square?
Yeah.
And do you see how 36 is a square?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Is it 6?
what we're going to do is we're going to open up 2 parentheses like this.
I don't know how to do this.
What times what? What times what gives you m squared? M. So I'm going to put an m here. I'm going to put an m here.
Oh, I remember this now.
What times what gives you 36? So I'm
Yes.
going to put a 6 here and a 6 here. 1 is plus, 1 is minus. It does not matter the order.
Is this
I
foil?
can't remember
Is
this.
this
I
foil?
remember I'm stupid to my core.
Yes.
I ain't paying attention.
If
I don't know why I know this.
If you wanted to check your work, yes, you would FOIL this back out, but you don't have to do that. All right, unless you want to check your work.
Why is one plus and why is one minus?
Because it's
negative.
when you FOIL it back out, that's what's going to get the middle term to cancel. Because you need 1 plus, 1 minus for the middle term to cancel. All right, Angie, go have a seat. I don't know why you're over there. We are not done. Okay, number 11. I'm noticing that the middle guy is not there, and I have squares. So, what times what gives you x squared?
X.
What times what gives you 4?
2.
And 1 is plus, 1 is minus.
I hope it stays.
All right. Lily, what is number 12 going to be? You can just tell me the whole answer. A plus. A plus 11. Very good. And then A minus 11. All right. Faith.
Yes.
13.
X plus 9 in parentheses and X plus 9. What?
No. Why does not number 13 not work?
Oh, because
It's
So
a positive.
You have to have both positive.
It has to be a difference. Okay? A difference. So this one is not factorable.
I wish you would said that.
oh.
It is not x plus 9, x plus 9. That will not give you this answer. It is not factorable.
If you
You
did
have-
FOIL X plus 9 plus X plus 9, what will happen?
Oh,
You get
yeah,
x
well,
squared
yeah,
plus
because then the middle
18x
term won't
plus
cancel
81.
out, right?
Really?
The middle term won't cancel out if you do that right.
Right. If you have x plus 9, and the middle term is not canceling, you would get x squared plus 18x plus 81, and so it's not going to work. It has to be negative. All right, we're almost done. We're almost done. Okay, on number 1.
Are you going to give us problems with the plus to confuse us?
I mean, not on the, you'll have them with a plus, but I'm not trying to be mean. You'll just see it with a plus sign sometimes. All right, on this problem right here, the only difference is I have a number in front of the x squared now. It's all good. We're just going to do the same thing. 2x, 2x, 5 and a 5. 1 is plus, 1 is minus.
I think I would get it.
All right, Kiadra, tell me number 2.
6 T
Uh-huh,
and the other side 6 T
uh-huh.
and then
7. 7 and 7. Yep, 1's plus, 1's minus. All right, and then Leslie, number 3. Very good. Okay, I'm going to make some changes on the bottom here.
Everybody just starts crying.
no thank you.
Shh, try to stay focused so I don't have to talk over you. Remember, my head hurts. All right. Change number 4 and 6. We're going to be doing the 3 terms tomorrow. All right, so we're going to do the 3 terms tomorrow. Now, this is just, they're mixing them all together. So it says, always start with and a blank. You have to do GCF first, no matter what, this whole week, and all of this math. Whenever you're factoring, you have to do GCF first. Have to. It's not an option. It is wrong if you don't do GCF first. So when we're doing these problems, the first thing you look for is a GCF. So on number 1, what is my GCF?
7.
Negative 7x.
X.
Negative 7x. So when I take negative 7x from negative 7x, I'm left with 1.
1 plus 6.
Plus 6x. Once you take your GCF out, then look and see if you have a difference of squares. You don't. So this is as far as you can go. All right, number 2. What's the GCF? Negative 6x. So negative 24 divided by negative 6, 4x. And then negative 6 divided by negative 6, plus 1. Because remember, if that first term's negative, take the negative out. All right, on number 3, do you have a GCF?
No.
Is it a difference of squares? Yes. So we can write it as x plus 7, x minus 7.
Wait, there's 3 on number 4 too. Oh.
All right, number 4, I want to change 2x squared minus 50. So you do have one of these on your practice. What is your GCF? A 2. So you can take a 2 out. When you take a 2 out, you are left with x squared minus 25. Right? 50 divided by 2 is 25.
Yeah.
You can't take an x out because 50 doesn't have an x. Now looking here, x squared minus 25. Is that a difference of squares?
Yeah.
It is. So we can keep going. We can rewrite this as x plus 5, x minus 5.
Wait,
Wait, I have a question.
God.
Why isn't the variable, why is it one of the x's outside?
Because 50 doesn't have an x, and so you can't take an x out.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're done. All right, jump down to number 5. Do you have a GCF? No. Is it a difference of squares?
Yeah.
All right, so what would the answer be?
X minus. Oh, wait, no. Wait.
7x
Man, I'm off today.
plus 3 and minus 3. Very good.
Faith, wake up.
All right, almost done. Number 6. Shh, if you're talking, please quit. Number 6, what's the GCF? 3. When you take a 3 out, you're left with x squared plus 1. Is that a difference of squares? No, because it's a plus sign. So that's as far as you can go.
Yeah, good foot. Wait, so if it was x squared minus 1,
Because what times what gives you 1?
crap.
1.
Wait, that's wrong. Number 7 is wrong. That's a B. Plus 6x?
That's okay.
Can you do that?
Yeah, so what's the GCF?
2.
2 what?
We've been doing that this whole time.
Uh-huh.
Wait, what?
2x.
We've been doing that this whole time.
So then you get 4x plus 3. It's not a difference of squares. That's as far as you can go. Okay, and then last one. Do you have a GCF?
8. No.
Is it a difference of squares?
Yeah.
What times what gives you 64?
8.
What times what gives you x squared?
X
What times what gives you 25?
minus 5.
Wait a second, homie.
8x plus 5.
Yay, we did